Hello everyone. In this video we're going to have a look and see how I did my first Resin Infusion carbon fiber part and how I integrated a Duratec Sunshield clear top coat into the Resin Infusion process. We're also going to look and see how I built the lightest weight hinge that I know how to build. And then finally we'll look at the weight savings between a carbon fiber rear bulkhead for the Bearhawk, one that's made out of aluminum, and how much weight I added to this part by using the top coat clear coat. This is going to be my first rodeo with infusing carbon fiber parts. I am going to go over some of the clear top coat that I've been playing around with. I'll cover what worked, and then I'll probably talk about what didn't work and why. I'm also going to be working with some pretty unique carbon fiber Kevlar hybrid fabric, and it is equally difficult to work with as it is beautiful. So I am questioning myself on why I chose to pick to work with that, but that's what I got. So anyway, I've already done quite a bit of work. I have put my mold release on here. Application was done in a north-south, east-west, and then a alternating 45 degree angle. I skipped the sealer because it's a mirror, so I didn't think that was necessary. I applied the Duratec 070 clear top coat. So this was an incredibly difficult process to learn. I started out using the 061 Duratec Sunshield, which was a disaster. There just wasn't enough surface tension to maintain a consistent film on the surface. So anyway, here you can see me doing the fog coat like it says in the instructions, giving it the 2 minutes and then laying it on thick. And with the 070, I was actually able to get it to maintain a consistent film. You can see me testing out a small corner here before I commit to it. But the first time around, I had to completely strip it off there because it just kind of beaded on the surface like rain collecting on a freshly waxed car. So here's my second attempt at a clear coat, and this is firmed up. It's not tacky anymore. You can see I got a whole bunch of fisheye around the edges. That could be, I don't know, humidity in the line or something else, I'm not too sure. Some of this other stuff you see here, I got a lot of gelling up inside the gun, and that all just kind of shot out, kind of all through the surface here. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit of light prep work and get a lot of that stuff sanded down so that it doesn't screw up the carbon. I used a 400 grit sandpaper to sand down the high spots and the defects, and those eventually would have caused curves in the carbon. But in the end part, I didn't end up seeing any of these sanded areas at all. Here I have a plan for a graphic on the bulkhead, and that's a piece of standard carbon with veil glued to it to keep the fibers straight. And then I'm laying down here the carbon Kevlar hybrid, which is really sensitive. I mean, even the dry skin on my fingers would pull the Kevlar out of the weave. So I had to be super careful there. For the rear bulkhead, a reinforcement like this foam core you see going in isn't necessary, but I'm experimenting to see what I need to do for the floorboard. So it's kind of just me getting geared up for that. I've got 5 layers of carbon here in total. That's including the carbon Kevlar hybrid first layer. And there's probably 1 layer too many, maybe 2 for a rear bulkhead. But here you see the peel ply's gone down, the flow material's gone down. I put the hoses in, the gum tape, and the bagging material. Right here in this corner, I noticed some of the furs from the peel ply crossing that gum tape there, which could have been a big problem on the infusion side of this part. So that takes a little bit longer than you might think. That was 2 nights. It's a work week, so 2 evenings of doing the carbon fiber stack and putting the vacuum bag on here. I did have some trouble in the back corner. I had some of that peel ply furs kind of come over there. So you might have saw me with a magnifying glass. And those furs are tiny, so I'm hoping I got all that fixed. I did nick it with my nail a little bit, but it's been holding the vacuum for a good 15-20 minutes. It's about 7:30 and I'm trying to make dinner, so I'm going to go ahead and try to get an infusion done real quick here within the hour. and hopefully it all goes well. So I'm going to set up the time lapse and let's get started. Well, here it goes, the big moment. And a couple things I'm going to change the next time around is I've got to come up with a way to degas the resin. You'll see at the end there's a lot of bubbles coming out. So I definitely need to degas the resin before pouring it into the cup there. Also, just changing the valve on there released a lot more air pockets. Some of that air gets trapped in the line feeding into the infusion. And I need to find a way maybe to feed the resin from the bottom of the container or keep it elevated to keep the air pockets out. But I did have some dry spots in this part afterwards, so there's definitely some things I gotta take care of. All right, guys, well, that is it. I am going to get my makeshift heat blanket on here and call it a night. I ended up with just about the right amount of resin. I'd say the right amount of resin. That took about, I don't know, 30 ounces of resin. I don't know if you saw in the time lapse, I had a close call with this guy over here. Let's have a look at that before I throw the heat blanket on, call it a night. I changed my setup at the last minute. I had a T-fitting here, and I found those a little hard to get out. So I thought I'd try this out, and then I just wasn't paying attention. And I got the vacuum port, the vacuum line, onto the breather material there. And man, boy, there was just enough movement in this bag that I could pull and tug on it. But when it was on there, I mean, the resin was just kind of running across here. So I'm glad I was able to get that out. I've got my part fully infused. Anyway, all done. Thumbs up, heat blanket, and I'll pop this off the mirror tomorrow. There we go. All right. Man, that is really nice. Wow. All right, before I can trim and prep, I gotta clean that and put it back in my bathroom in the house because it's been 3 days with a blank wall. Well, it fits. That's pretty much all the trimming done. I don't think I'm going to do fabric on the interior, so I went ahead and tucked it into the border around there. Let's look at the back. Almost missed the mark on that reinforcement panel. Shifted a little over, but it made it. So anyway, templates can go in the trash. And next step is get some bolts in here. Well, I've finished all the holes. I've got the nut clips installed. That part's done. I am transitioning to the, I guess the last piece of this puzzle, which is my stowage and ELT access. But first I've got to get a door cut out of this area, and I'm going to put a super lightweight Kevlar hinge up at the top. So let me get started. Okay, I've got my door line cut out. So that's my door. I've taped up the back side. The insert, I've gone ahead and sanded around the perimeter where it's going to get bonded and taped that off, and I've put release agent kind of around the edge that I don't want the door to stick to. So that's ready to go. This is my piece of Kevlar hinge. I've cut it so that the Kevlar fibers are going kind of at a 45. I'm going to do my best not to get resin too close to the edge, but I kind of have to anyway. Inevitably, some of the resin is going to wick up into that area. And so the first time I open the door, it'll just break that, and then it'll be good to go from there. Because this is going to be up, so it's going to kind of kick the top up like that, I'm going to add some carbon fiber with epoxy kind of in between the layer. I'll cut that, and then that way the stowage is kind of evenly positioned there. So I got everything ready to go. I've got my brush super glued. I need to put a couple more layers of gloves on, and then I can go ahead and mix up resin and get this stowage mounted on there. This guy is ready to go. All right. Too much. Okay, carbon along the sides. All right, she is ready to go. That is it. All right, I've tabbed it in, and let's see, it's time to see if I have resin filled up in these little cutouts. Let's see, that's a good sign. I don't have excessive resin down in there. I was a little worried about that. So let's see, got 4 little tabs to cut out, and then we'll open this bad boy up. All right, let's see how this hinge works. There it is. That simple. Oh, that worked out great. I just need to latch the bottom. Perfect. Let's get it mounted. that's it, guys. The rear bulkhead is finished. It is done. I love the graphic. I love the carbon fiber look. If you want to stick around, I'm going to look at some of the weights that I added to the panel with the clear top coat, how light I could possibly build this panel if I were to do it again, and we'll compare that to an aluminum one. So anyway, rear bulkhead's done. Stick around, we'll look at some weights, and then we'll be finished. All right, guys, this is a really good place for me to stop and just kind of analyze the weight that I either saved or didn't save. I will say this is a little heavier than I thought it would be. It's still really light, but I doubt that I saved any weight in comparison to an aluminum panel. This is my original, I guess, Infusion attempt. I only did 3 layers on this one, and I did not add the weight of a clear coat. And so this is probably better representation of the lightest I could probably do the rear bulkhead. So I'm going to weigh these 2 panels. I also have, let's see here, I've got a good area of the clear coat that came off with no carbon fiber on it. So I'm going to get the thickness of this, and I'm going to weigh it and see how much weight, in fact, this did add to the panel. The manufacturer recommends a max 20 to 22 thou coating, and they say you can do this in a 5 thou per coat basis. I thought I went extremely thick on this, so over the 20. Let's see, that is 20 thousandths right there. So that is right at the max. Let's get a few readings here. We got a 15 thou. I got a 15 thou there as well. 18 thousandths. So let's weigh these. We'll see how much 15 to 20 thousandths is in terms of weight. And on the next panel I do, I'm going to shoot for maybe between 5 and 10. So I know I can go lighter on this. Let's give it a weight. Kind of hard, but this angle. All right, so that is 18 square inches of the clear coat weighed. I'm now going to weigh the ultimately the final panel, which is overbuilt. This is the one with clear coat and 5 layers and core material. And we have got 3 pounds, and I'm going to call that 10 ounces. And then on, I guess, my bare minimum, and this, the first panel I did. So this is 3 layers thick with no clear coat. 2 pounds, 2 ounces. 2 pounds, 2 ounces. And this particular panel is about, I want to say 10% bigger than the cut. So we'll go with 2 pounds on this one right here. Well, I don't have any aluminum sheet to just cut up and weigh. So I'm going to model this into SolidWorks and let the program do all the math to figure out how much an aluminum panel would weigh. So to do that, all I'm going to do is put in the dimensions from the plans at the top and the bottom there, and then define the tab dimensions at the top and the side. Once all that is done, I will extrude this and give it a thickness. So we're going to look at a 32 thou thick sheet of aluminum. And I can then apply material properties to this model. And for this case, I think I'm going to use 6061 T6 to give it a density. Once I have that, I can now apply a sensor, in this case mass. And if I get my cursor out of the way here, I got 3.48 pounds. Which is basically 3 pounds, 8 ounces. And at 3 pounds, 8 ounces for an aluminum rear bulkhead, I've basically spent more time and more money building a carbon fiber panel that's 2 ounces heavier than an equivalent one. But if you remember, 18 square inches of this clear top coat weighed in at 6 grams. So if we look back at the model and run an area calc, we'll find 1,115 square inches for this rear bulkhead. And I've already done the math. That comes out to 371 grams, which is 13 ounces of added weight just to have the protective clear coat. So basically, what does that mean? If I ever want to come back and take a pound of weight out of the rear of my aircraft, I know where to start. But for now, I love this panel. I'm keeping it. I'll take the lessons I've learned here and I'll apply those throughout the Bearhawk, and we'll go from there. So anyway, hope you like this video. See you next time.